which is kind of wild. And I do want to get into your time in AEW. You've put a couple things up. I appreciate how honest you are because I don't think you're trying to necessarily start shit. You just have an opinion and you put it out there. And if you want to defend it, you defend it. And if not, whatever. But you talked about, there's a tweet, if we can get this up, about the AEW schedule
Yes.
and people not working indies. And you commented on this, and I thought it was really interesting if we have it. So there you go. You're saying if you could do the indies, do them, or you'll just rust like Tin Man. Plus, why wouldn't you want to make the extra $1,000 a week? Joey, you were there. You're not there anymore. You worked indies before and after. You're a busy man before. You're a busier man after. Why, knowing that, hell, Moxley does them, why aren't more people there working indies?
I think they're just content. Like, we made it. We're getting this check every 2 weeks, this big paycheck. And, we can sit home and play video games and twiddle our thumbs. And I would like to have that schedule too, just chilling out, actually, now that I think about it. But this is a weird thing we do, professional wrestling. People would think that if the more you wrestle, the more broken down you'll be. But in my opinion, and a lot of other vets' opinions, the more you wrestle, the more your body is used to it, kind of. Once you take off, obviously, if you have to take off a couple months, then your body starts to feel the repercussions of wrestling. But a lot of injuries can happen if you take time off, if you only wrestle once or twice a month, because your instincts are not as good in the ring. Your timing is not as good. That's when things get sloppy in the ring. I've been there many times, is when you're not wrestling as much. Right now, I try to wrestle 2, 3, 4 times a week, and I've never been better in the ring. Of course, my body is sore when I wake up in the morning, but that's what we sign up for. And I noticed that when these guys, especially during like COVID era and stuff like that, when people are not as wrestling as much, that's when the injuries occur. That's when these situations happen. And I think people should, if you're not getting the TV time, if you're not out there on TV, go do the indies, because if it all ends one day, then you're going to have to build back up your reputation and whatnot. But if you stay out there, you stay out in the public eye, you have the goodwill of those indie fans, they'll carry you through, and it won't be as hard as you think it is if your contract, if it does come to an end.
I'm glad you brought that up, and I wanted to ask you about this because you were so busy on the indies before, and you talked about being hot and how that kind of led into spring break, and then since you've been back on full time, you're a busy guy. But I always wonder, and I've talked about this for the guys that have transferred from Japan, and they don't work that many singles matches, and they don't have those TV angles every week. You're coming off the indies. Sometimes there's storylines. Oftentimes, I think we know you're trying to get yourself over to a new crowd every night, and a crowd you're not used to seeing. What was the transition like for you to become a weekly television wrestler, and how did you adapt to that?
At first, it was pretty easy, to be honest. I did pretty good there when we first started. I had the matches with Moxley, the matches with Omega, and whatnot, but they weren't really on TV at that time. I really didn't get an opportunity to be on TV till maybe month 2, and then they threw me into just a throwaway program with Sean Spears. Mm-hmm. When I felt like, nothing against Sean Spears, nothing against Tully Blanchard, but it was just, this guy's not doing anything. This guy's not doing anything. Let's just put them in a random program. When, I could have had stuff already built in, with Moxley and with Kenny. And, I'm not saying I should have been out there wrestling every week on television. Just put me out there in a situation, say that Moxley's trying to mentor me and I'm crazy and I keep on putting my body through these situations, and Moxley knows because he's been in the ring with me, and I'm just kind of there. You know what I'm saying?
It's just you want to be on consistently. People are like, oh, they need a push. I'm like, a push is being
on
TV.
I don't need the pushes yet. The push is just getting on TV,
right,
on a weekly basis. You don't, and then these people, they get on TV, they get like, I want more and I want more. If you're on TV, you're on TV. You know, especially on that roster. You know what I'm saying? At that time, there was only one TV show, and then there was a YouTube show. And you know, I really didn't never complain about what I did there, but like after wrestling Kenny having a phenomenal match
Yeah.
and just doing it, and just getting thrown into the gauntlet, never having a developmental training or anything like that, or never really going and having a run in New Japan or not, and just going out there and just killing it with these guys who are on the, as fans say, are on the most elite level of professional wrestling, and looking like I belong there with them in 30-minute matches and whatnot. If there's plunder in there or not, I just felt like I deserved a little bit better after that, because it went from Sean Spears, but that's fine. Like Sean Spears, he's a vet. It's just I felt like it was thrown together. There wasn't much thought into it. It's like, what do you want to do this week? Maybe you should just maybe kidnap Tully Blanchard. Like, come on. It's just like it's still like that. I feel like at some levels that there's stuff Tony cares about. There's stuff that's like, hey, what do you want to do with it?
Right.
Not really a thought process behind some of it, but it went from that, and then they threw me into I felt like then they threw me into a program with my ex-girlfriend who was signed with me. It was supposed to be an act with me and her new boyfriend. And I'm like, man, I must have pissed someone off because someone's really chopping my legs off right now. And just from there, just went all downhill. And by the time that we got to the end of my contract, you know, I probably could have re-signed, you know, and there was talks about bringing me back to TV and stuff, but I just didn't want to go through another 3 years of me dealing with, you know, the backstage politics of a TV wrestling company. And not only that, but going on Twitter and then getting harassed 24 hours a day because the way I'm used on TV is making me look like I'm in a bad light.
I will say, you know, you before and then coming back after, it shows that you got to keep it up. You got to keep doing stuff. You got to keep your name out there. And there were people that would go through what you went through, what you just described, and they wouldn't be able to bounce back, or they wouldn't be able to bounce back to the level they were at. You have done that and then some. And I want to give you credit for something. You've had 4 years with 100 plus matches.
Let me go inside because the sun is shining in my face.
You do that, I'll put you over for a second. 4 years with 100 plus matches. You had 115 matches last year, if Cage Match is correct. That was one behind your 2017 record of 116. Cody Rhodes had the most matches in WWE last year at 113. So what is it like, Joey, working a busier schedule than the WWE champion?
I mean, less money. I fucking wish. I wish I was making those Cody Rhodes dollars, you know, but the I don't got a bus in my driveway. But yeah, man, it's just about the hustle, you know. I feel like if you keep on working hard, you keep on keeping your name out there, and you keep on showing people that, you know, you're still working hard, that someday, you know, there'll be another contract offered in front of you for big money. You know, I feel like I'll be making money in this business till I'm dead.
and you're a good example of the hustle. I talked to Cardona about this, as much as he drives Cardona. He's probably going to have a Cardona soon. He'll be hawking that out somewhere, or it's going to be a major bendy extra accessory. But he works hard, and there's a hustle to that, and you've had that hustle as well. Dom, if we could put up Joey's latest merch, because this is another way to make money in the industry. Booty shorts, Joey. I mean, like, at this point, is this the furthest you've gone with a piece of merch where you go, can we really do this? Yeah, I think this might work.
Yeah, my friend David from 2800, he's been doing booty shorts for like, he does, you know, the bootleg. You know, the bootleg ECW merch, bootleg that. I think he did some ECW booty shorts, and they sold really well. And he's like, what about we do booty shorts? And I was like, you know what? Let's try it out. And the main thing was to get these hats back out there. I do it every summer. I said I'm never releasing them again, and I release them the next summer, and they sell like crazy. Now it's the booty shorts. They're selling like crazy. So expect a lot of pictures on my Instagram stories of these girls wearing some Joey Janela booty shorts, and whatever.
It worked, but that's the thing. You have to think that way. Has there been a piece of merch that hasn't come to fruition for whatever reason that was maybe a little more off the wall?
No, this is probably the most off the wall. Recently, I've been thinking outside the box because everyone has T-shirts. I've been around the circuit for so long. I've been around people. They have 30 Joey Janela T-shirts. They don't want. Some people don't want a 31st. So it's like, what can we do? Okay, let's do lighters. Let's do ashtrays, booty shorts. Gonna get some puzzles made. Puzzles
Next, for the kids.
Puzzles for the kids. Puzzles for the adults.
And because of your success, I think your opinion matters on other people's shirts, which you expressed with a certain shirt that came out, I guess it was released on Sunday night or early Monday morning for the returning MJF, if we could get that up there. This is why I like to have your tweets at the ready. S-tier terrible wrestling shirt, LM FAO. When I worked there, I had my own designs approved. This is why I didn't miss. Austin 316, this is not. Find a good artist that you know won't. You see it all. Why does that happen to so many people?
It's a terrible fucking shirt. And MJF, he's coming back. Big comeback. We'll see how it translates to the ratings this Wednesday. But I'm afraid a few of those shirts probably sold.
I'm sure they did.
But a lot more of those shirts would sell if they were designed appropriately for a consumer to wear. But that looks like he just found a font, he just threw it on his shirt, and he just got it out there as fast as possible just to make some sales. And that's probably on the Pro Wrestling Tees side of things. Excuse me. That's on MJF too, because if they show that shirt to me, they have to show the talent, the approved shirt, whatever. If they showed that shirt to me, I'd be like, throw that in the trash. Don't ever release that. And I would go find an artist that I know that makes good stuff. I'd be like, hey, AEW will pay you this amount to get this done in the next day. And or at least get it done before Dynamite on Wednesday or something. Sure. Get it out there. But that was just thrown out there. And I'm afraid some of them, this shirt probably sold some units, but it would sell a lot more if it didn't look like that. And it will go down. There's been some bad AEW shirts. There's been some bad It's not only an AEW.
Oh, of course there is. Yeah.
It's a WWE problem as well. There's been some bad merch there as well. And I've gotten designs sent to me from whoever, Pro Wrestling Tees, they have artists, whatever, that were just abysmal. And I say, no.
There's okay to say no.
There's a couple good artists there. There's a couple good artists. Electric Zombie, he's one of the good ones. He did a lot of my shirts at AEW, or I had a lot of artists that I know. I'd say, here's the design. You pay the artist. You commission the artist this, and then release it. I know Brody King does a lot of. That's why his merch is better than most over there. Dan Housen, he has his own artist. That's why his merch is better than most over there. But that's also when I was there. I wasn't on top of the card. I wasn't a main event guy, but I was at one point one of the top merch sellers in the company because I had such good designs, while other people were putting out just trash.
It should go there. It's got to be, especially for an upstart company. They're still in the startup. You got to put out good stuff, and you got to put out stuff. It's got to be available. I want to flip to one of the matches that you reacted to a couple weeks ago. That was on the Go Home edition of Dynamite, and it was Bryan Danielson against Satnam Singh. And you said this would be the first match I booked if I was Booker. I completely understood when you said that, but explain to everybody why something like that jumps out to you in such a company like that.
That's great. I like that. That's like Satnam Singh. He's doing his thing. Let's give him a match. Like they give Giant Gonzalez, Ric Flair, and WCW or something. It's like, all right, let's see what happens here in this situation. And I didn't watch it. I heard it was I heard it wasn't great.
They went 6 minutes. It was the backdrop to cashing in the.
There's a
Going
funny
after
little spot on there when Sanjay took off the top of the table and
done.
It collapsed, and that
was indicative of the rest of the match, which is not something you're often going to say with Bryan Danielson. But it was the backdrop to cashing in this bounty or whatever. And Jarrett, of course, took a great bump off the knee. I mean, that's what it was.
Of course.
Exactly. You get that. Of course he did.